Hey folks, welcome back to Getting In, a College Coach Conversation. We just had a great conversation with Joy Biscornet about essay supplements for the University of Illinois and for Purdue. And those would be great things to go on back and listen to. If for some reason you're listening to this podcast and you've skipped ahead 15 minutes for the second segment because you are just so excited to hear from Shannon Vasconcelos. Shannon is my second guest today, and we're going to learn about her whole college experience in 16 minutes.
We're squeezing 4 years into 16 minutes. All right, let's do this, Ian.
Compressing that thing down, and we're going to focus on the real highlights here. So, Shannon, what I want to sort of start with is, where did you go to college? Why don't you tell everybody the basics here?
That's a good place to start. I went to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst.
Okay. Now, so what I think is really cool about UMass is the college consortium that surrounds that space. I think Amherst is maybe the most college town of all the college towns.
I think it might be.
And just because of, there's just something about that space. And of course, you've got Hampshire, Smith, Amherst is there. What's the other smaller school that's?
This is a pop quiz. It's Mount Holyoke.
Mount Holyoke. I thought it was going to be that, but I didn't want to get it wrong. And so those are all there alongside UMass Amherst. Correct. What was your experience of being in a place where there are so many other college students who don't go to the same school as you do in that same town?
Yeah, it was a really cool place to go to college. I think you're right. It is when you picture a college town, you picture Amherst. Yeah. Also, just down the street where Smith College is, it's about a 15-minute drive is the very small city of Northampton. Another like a very vibrant small city with lots of cool, concert venues and restaurants and just a very cool college vibe in the whole area, which is then surrounded by farm fields and mountains. So it's a sort of a little isolated community filled with tons of college students from really all over the country, all over the world. And it was a really cool experience to get to know people from all over who are having these different experiences at the different colleges. One nice thing about attending any one of those 5 colleges is that you get to take classes at all of the other colleges. I don't even know if there's any limitation on that. As much as you want, I think they probably put some limit on it, but I would take usually 1 class per semester at one of the other colleges. And particularly nice for those of us at UMass who were paying, a third of the price of the students attending those other colleges. We got to take the same courses at much lower tuition rate. So that was definitely a great thing to be able to do.
And when you think about sort of your social relationships in college, would you say that most of your friends were students at UMass, or did you have sort of a mixture of friends from across all of those campuses?
I'd say the majority of my friends were from UMass. I think that just more easily happened, got to know the people in my dorm. And the majority of my classes I did take at UMass. So I think I got closer with the people at UMass in general, but because I was taking maybe 1 class per semester at these other colleges and working on group projects with students at the other colleges, I certainly did get to expand my social circle out a bit to the students at those colleges too. So that was definitely a fun experience.
And it's a bit of a more natural expansion as well. I mean, we sort of think of Boston. Boston's a college town in some way. It's also a major city, but a quarter of the residents of Boston are college students. But of course, you're not going to be in classes or working on projects with students that are at different universities in the way that you would at a consortium. And the other one that comes to mind for me is the one over in Claremont, California, where you've got the 5 small colleges, Scripps, Harvey Mudd, Pitzer, Pomona, and Claremont McKenna. And that's a little bit different, I think, because all the schools are quite small. And what's really interesting about UMass is that you've got this one big public university that's situated in this context. Now, UMass has an honors college program. And I think I've really just, especially working here with College Coach, really come around on honors colleges as being a really wonderful way for a student to get the best of both worlds. And there might even be 3 worlds when we're talking about a consortium where you get to take classes at different institutions. Can you speak a little bit about putting yourself back in your shoes of when you were 17, why you were even considering the honors college option? Why was that something that you decided that you wanted to be a part of when you were applying?
Yeah, and it actually wasn't, it's something, a decision that I more look back on saying that was a pretty good decision. I'm glad I did that. And
Okay.
in retrospect, I can see all of the advantages. To be perfectly honest, at the time, it was really strictly a financial
Huh.
decision, along with my honors college acceptance to UMass. That also came with a full ride scholarship. So
Okay.
I got to attend the honors college
Seems
actually at
good.
the yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not a bad deal. So I got to it, and actually at the time I was accepted, it was actually the honors program.
Okay.
And then while I was enrolled, a couple years later, it made the official transition to be an honors college. So I got the very first kind of taste of that honors college experience, and it is a much more deluxe experience, I would say, today.
What was
Um,
the difference in terms of that transition? You went from a program to a college. My sense is that a program is sort of about the classes, the curriculum that you're taking, and a college might be a more all-inclusive experience. But what was
yeah.
your experience with
Yeah,
that
I
transition?
think I would say the exact same thing. And some of it may be just semantics, but yeah, at the time when I started, it was more you're in the honors program, you take a certain number of honors courses,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you did get benefits to that in terms of the honors courses were restricted to 15 students top in terms of class sizes. So you were getting much smaller classes than the rest of the university. Um, but yeah, as an honors college, it is a residential college experience. They have built brand new, very deluxe dorms. I'd like to go back today so I could live in those dorms, where you have a residential experience where it's all honors students living together along with some faculty members. You get advising right within your residential college, lots of cool kind of extracurricular programs, and much more, I think, of a community, a
Yeah.
very small, close-knit community within the larger university experience.
And that's part of the goal of these
Yeah,
honors colleges is that if you think about the most talented students in Massachusetts, and I suppose you were one of those at one point in time, Shannon,
I know. I've
congratulations.
gone downhill since then. It's hard to believe.
Uh, so they're trying to get people like Shannon who might get into other schools
Yes.
like Amherst or like Mount Holyoke, and just examples within the state. And in order to attract those students, they have to say, well, we've got this honors college program, and you get to do this really cool thing where you're living with other honors college students, and we might give you a scholarship. And isn't this great, right?
Yes.
And I think that a lot of students sort of overlook that piece of the puzzle when they're looking at major universities, that the honors college just sounds like, oh, I might have to do more work. I don't know if I want to do that. But actually
Right.
it comes with this really terrific experience as well. Um,
Exactly.
I wanted to ask, because I've seen a lot of questions when I was talking with Joy about the Purdue essays. We didn't get to the honors college essays, but they do ask a lot about interdisciplinary study in the prompt. And the
Yes.
University of Washington Honors College asks about interdisciplinary study. And I think that this is something that students have trouble wrapping their heads around when they're applying out of high school. Can you sort of think back to instances of interdisciplinary engagement, formal or informal, while you were a student in the Honors College?
Yeah, and I think, and actually at UMass, as I recall, I had the choice if I could do what they call departmental honors, where I
Mm-hmm.
really strictly focused on my major department and took most of my honors courses there, and was really not interdisciplinary. That was an option. Or you could do interdisciplinary honors, where you were actually required to spread out your honors courses around multiple disciplines. You had to write a thesis
Mm-hmm.
combining multiple disciplines. Mine I did on, it was a comparing Buddhist and economic perspectives on the environment. So clearly I had to branch out a little bit for that. I had
Yeah.
to talk to professors in the religion department, as well as professors in the economics department, and
Wow.
as well as in the sciences.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool experience for me. That was something that I was really looking for in my college experience. I wasn't someone who, knew what I wanted to do since I was 5 years old and was strictly focused on one subject. I wanted to learn about
As
lots
many
of
things as
different
you could. Yeah.
things. And I
Yeah.
think honors colleges can be very conducive to that and encouraging of that. And, they bring in all sorts of lecturers on all different subjects to speak with the honor students. And I think that for a student like that who wants to learn about all different things, I think an honors college can be a really great option.
Yeah, I'm just such an interdisciplinary thesis. It's amazing how many different subjects get brought into that conversation. And I think, the advantage to an interdisciplinary mode of study is if you think about the problems that need to be solved, there really are interdisciplinary, solutions that can be applied. I mean, even if you think about the current pandemic, for example, you've got the intersection of public policy and, vaccinations and science and just understanding pandemics. Like there's all this really interesting stuff. Economics is connected.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of colleges sort of have this view that the problems of the future are interdisciplinary. And so when you learn a method of study that is interdisciplinary, you're better suited to solving those problems.
Absolutely.
One of the things that I often talk to students about when I'm pitching this honors college experience, or just trying to help them understand it, is that sometimes faculty might be a little bit more disposed to respond to an email that you send them or to offer you a position in their lab if you're an honors college student. It sort of carries a badge of seriousness about your studies. Right or wrong. I mean, we use shorthand sometimes. And what was your experience with that? Did you find that there were doors that were open to you because you were in the honors college that might not have been otherwise?
I think so. And it's something, I think, because the honors college experience really encourages that interaction with faculty. Again, now with the residential college, faculty live right with the students. With the writing of a thesis, you need at least one thesis advisor, if not a thesis committee. So you're just naturally working with faculty. And I think that that it can be a very good way to get to know faculty. I think there is that shorthand. I know it was very easy for me to later on applying to graduate school. I had very easy, recommenders, at my disposal because I was able to work with them closely as part of the honors program at UMass. And I don't know that every student at UMass, all 30,000 of them, certainly were not working closely with faculty. So I think it is something that honors programs or honors colleges sort of naturally bring faculty and students together. I think that's part of the point of the programs.
That's right. And I think it's a great sort of reminder that this is the solution to the problem of not having a small campus in many cases, is let's make a small campus environment somehow within this larger university, and you still get accesses to the tremendous resources that come with a larger university while also having a smaller campus experience. And if we sort of think about other honors colleges, I'm thinking about the one at University of Washington, there's one at the University of Oregon, Clark Honors College, Arizona State has a good one. These are all huge universities, but where the honors college is a really small and more intimate learning environment. So I think that they're exciting to think about.
I think they can help that transition, which can be a hard transition for students. From high school into college, it can be hard for anyone, but particularly at a large university, if you're used to going from maybe a pretty small high school into an environment where there are 30,000 students, I think it's easy that you can, kind of get lost. It can be an anonymous experience if you allow it to be, or if you don't reach out to other students and to faculty and create that community for yourself. It can be difficult, but the honors colleges sort of create that naturally for you. So I think it can be sort of make it an easier transition if you are looking for all the resources of a large university, but are a little worried about that. You do get to have that close-knit community. You do get to be sort of the big fish in the small pond, or the small fish in the big
bigger
pond.
Fish in a bigger pond. You get to make a smaller
so.
pond and a bigger. You're setting up a dam, really.
Yes.
So there are dams and these water bodies.
Right. We got some landscape architecture going on here, but
interdisciplinary.
But it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing that I am curious about, and I don't know if you can speak to this, a lot of students are thinking about, all right, after I graduate, I want to get a career. Maybe it starts with graduate school, maybe it starts with employment. I'm curious about whether there is a relationship that you have as an alumna of the Honors College in terms of communications that you have from the university, or just if you can speak more broadly to what
Yeah.
it's like to be an alumna of a larger university. How has that impacted opportunities that have come since your graduation?
Yeah, I think that it naturally creates lots of connections. Both, we do like honors college homecoming and anniversary celebration, so there is that sort of
Okay.
closer connection with specifically other honors college graduates. But then again, and having the whole network of the whole university and LinkedIn groups and all of that, I will tell you one thing I never thought about when I chose to attend UMass. um, that has become that has been a big benefit in my life and in my career as I've been as I've interviewed for jobs since college, and I have stayed within the state of Massachusetts. Every single time I've gone in for a job interview, the person I was interviewing with either attended UMass themselves, or they had a sister that attended UMass,
Yeah.
or
So
their
you guys are
son
cheating,
attended
basically.
UMass.
You're just helping each other
Essentially,
out. Okay.
it breaks the ice very quickly when you attend the large
Yeah.
university within your state, because you have lots and lots of alumni connections one way or the other, and it has helped along the way.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. That's something that I like to point out for students as well. And I just think it's such a cool option. It's really interesting to hear that your experience there is sort of consistent with, I think, how these honors colleges would pitch themselves. The things that they
Yes.
want to talk about are really sort of reflected in the experience you had. Any other thoughts that you would share just about honors colleges in general, or UMass specifically, for our listeners?
Go UMass. Beyond that, I think it's a really great option for folks to look at. Specifically, I on the finance side of the house here at College Coach, so I'm talking about to students and families about how to afford college. And sometimes for very high achieving students, they're looking at some of those most selective private universities, which sometimes come with a huge price tag that's really out of reach, or can make things very difficult for their family for many years to come. So it's always a great option that I advise students to consider. Take a look at your in-state public university. Do they have an honors college that can really nurture you as a high achieving student? I think it's a great option to consider.
I think so. And one other little plug that I want to put in, if you only listen to the show on the podcast, you're going to miss out on Shannon's really cool skull earrings that she's wearing right now. I think in honor of Halloween coming up this weekend. She's got a Halloween sweater going on. There's a pumpkin spice latte somewhere in the room. If it's not in the frame, here it comes. There it is. So get to our Facebook page. You can find College Coach on Facebook. You can give us a like, and you can find these videos posted as individual segments every single week. Shannon, thanks for all you're doing to help support the radio show, to help us understand college finance, to being awesome.
Oh, you're welcome.
Glad you're on the show today. Yeah. When we come back, we are going to talk about finance. I've applied, so what happens next? So you won't want to go away.